I'm just bringing you a quick little video today on a tier list for linear switches. This is non-silent switches. This is just regular linear switches, and this is just solely my opinion. Um, your opinion may vary, and there's no mod switches like mixing stems and housings together. This is just stock switches, and yeah, so we'll start at the bottom. Box switches, obviously F tier. They stretch stems out, do all kinds of stuff to keycaps, fuck keycaps up. I think the newer models are fixed, but yeah, box switches I've just never really had in any luck with them. Um, so yeah, that's why I put them down there on F tier. Right here is they're called mod switch. You can buy them at mechanicalkey.com. Um, they're basically on par with like MX switches. Let me switch this light off. They're basically on par with like MX switches, which is why I have just regular cherry reds. I put as a Gateron red as well, since they'll look the same. Cherry and Gateron red, regular base switches in E tier, along with the mod switches. On D tier, I got just Yacht switches if you're using them as a linear switch and not breaking them down into holy pandas. So they are on D tier. They're scratchy. They're not the best linear switch if you're going to use them. And then I have the new I I can't I can't pronounce it right. I don't know. They're new style of switches they have out. They're like their pro switches or whatever. I got them on D tier because they are decent switches. And they have been having some decent reviews. I haven't personally tried them, which is why I put them on D. If I personally tried them and they were better, I might have moved them up or down depending on it. Okay, so next on the C tier, I got retooled black Cherry MX blacks, which are still pretty good switches, especially if you broken them in pretty well. Loop, got them lubed nice. There's still some decent switches. Um, but there's way better switches above them, But broken in, they're pretty dang good. And then I have Milky Gateron switches on C tier as well. They're for the price point, they're a great switch. They're like $2.50 per switch. And that price point, you just can't go wrong with it. They're great if you're just doing like a quick build on a cheaper board, or doing it for somebody else, or you're just doing like if you want to do a build for work, or like just like if you're just making a random, test board or whatever. Milky switches are a great choice. The next I have Durock switches. I just chose one of them because there's so many different Durock linear switches, and some of them are pretty good. They have a huge variety of them out now, so that's why I just chose the purple one, purple stem. Um, but their switch game has been getting a lot better. I haven't done a build with any of them yet, but we will see in the future. But I'd say keep your eye out on them. All right, so B tier. I got Telios on B tier. They would be an A tier, but the reason they're on B tier is the price point. They're $1 per switch. And for the turquoise Telios, they're $1.10 per switch, which is way too expensive for a regular non-modded switch. But they are a great linear all around. They feel amazing. They sound great. But the price is why they are down here. Next, we have the new JWK. They have the silk and the dry switches on novel keys. I personally bought a bunch of the dries yellow stems, and they're actually really nice feeling switches. And I have a build planned for them in the future. But I lubed some of them and tested them out and whatnot, and they felt quite good. And I'm excited to test them out on a build. But these switches have been selling out like crazy. There's a lot of hype behind them. I put them on B tier. Just for now because there hasn't been a whole lot of testing with them since they're so new. They might go up to A tier soon, but I want to be able to test them fully on my board, you know, for a decent time when I do my build with them. I just lubed a few of them up and put them in a switch tester and felt around with them, and they felt pretty good. And next is the Mauve. I can't pronounce that either. Linear. They're a pretty good switch. They're they share a lot of similarities with the cream switch, kinda, the housing and whatnot. So, which is why they are a decent switch. Price point, they're not bad. They're I think they're $5.50 for 10 switches, or $5 for 10 switches. They're just sold out all the time. You don't see a lot of builds with them, but they are a good, smooth, good sounding linear, a good choice, and I'm sure most linear lovers would be satisfied with a build with them. And this next switch on A tier actually was a huge surprise for me, is the FEI switches. I have a build for them on my E6.5, and they feel great. They're a lighter spring on them, but I was very, very surprised by them. I'm just so upset that they are sold out everywhere. That you can't find everywhere. I think they were just a limited run thing, and I'm upset by that because I would like to get more for builds in the future because they're a nice switch. I really like the feel of them. They're light though. The spring is real light on them, but typing wise, they feel great. They have a good sound to them, and yeah, I was very impressed with them. I was very happy with the Switch, and it's one of my favorite builds for my E6.5. Moving on, we have Gateron Inks. A lot of people, love inks. They would be a B tier, but the V2s, they got a lot of the issues figured out. Like they had a lot of the leaf issues where they would just come loose and a couple other little problems would pop up here and there. But the V2s are A tier. They sound great. They're smooth. They price point $5.50 for 10 switches. 55 cents a switch. You cannot go wrong with that price. And yeah, I mean, pick up some inks. They have different colors, different spring weights. For for builds you're doing, I usually just get the blacks because that's the spring weight I personally enjoy. But I've done several builds with ink and always been satisfied. The next is the tangerines, C3 tangerines. Personally, I like the one tangerines better than the V2 tangerines. I had a build for them on my Key 65 board by Fox Labs. I liked them. They didn't have a nice big thock sound to them, but they're a super smooth switch, and I highly recommend them. They are pretty nice. The V1 tangerines are good as well, but the V2 uh, are still good switches. Don't get me wrong. And now let's pop up to S tier, which some of these probably won't surprise you at all. Number one choice is one of them is the Alpaca switch, which have crazy hype going on right now. They are sold out everywhere. I have a build currently on my Key 65 with Alpacas. You can go see on my channel for a sound test of that if you would like. Quite a few of these switches, I have a sound test of them on my YouTube channel. If you would like to hear them. Price for the Alpacas is I think 55 cents a switch as well. Only is they're sold out everywhere, so if you are impatient or you don't have time to wait to get switches, you might be forced to pay aftermarket value for them. So be careful of that. If you want to try the Alpacas, just keep your eyes peeled. I think they're doing a drop tomorrow for some. I think they're doing a drop for them tomorrow. So yeah, you can pick you some up. Next, we have vintage blacks, and this isn't just any old vintage black. This is the good vintage blacks, the ones that have been ultrasonic cleaned, well taken care of, or even new old stock, and lubed well, filmed, and well taken care of. I personally have 100 and something I'm saving for when my Key Cult #1 TKL comes in December. I'm gonna save my Vent Blacks for that. But of course they are god tier switch. I mean, just like the Nixies up there with Nixies, but I think Nixies are just way too overpriced for what they are. It's basically a vintage black with a milky top housing. But yeah, you can't go wrong with Vent Blacks. Great sound, super smooth, amazing. Only problem is you have to buy them aftermarket. You can't just order them on websites. You can find like boards on eBay, old like Wise boards and stuff like that you can buy and desolder and clean yourself. Or there's people on Mech Market that have a bunch of new old stock and they just gradually release them out. But yeah, great switch. The next and the final switch on this list is one of my personal favorites. I have a few builds with this switch. Is the Novelty Cream. Has a great sound profile. They're super smooth. I don't know. That was a switch that was just done right, and it does deserve the hype. At first I thought they were overhyped until I tried some, but they do deserve the hype. They are an amazing switch. I have a build there. I have 3 different keyboards with creams in them, and I never get tired of using those keyboards, and they're fairly readily in stock. 55 cents a switch as well. I think Novelty's just restock some And KBD fans, you can find them on there quite a bit. I'm sorry, I got heartburn. Um, but yeah, they amazing switch. And obviously, guys, there are so many more linear switches out there and so many more different brands. But I was just kind of going through some of the more popular ones that you will see people do builds with. And this isn't counting the mod switches where people swap stems and housings and this and that, and they're not, you know. So that's um why I chose what I did here. I think I will do a tactical switch tier list in the future. I hate clicky switch, so that won't be coming. I can't stand clicky switches, so that a tier list of clickies will not be coming. But a tier list for tactical will be coming in the near future. And I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe gave you some ideas for what you might look for in a switch in your future build. And hope maybe you guys were helped out in a way. And then, yeah, drop a like, drop a subscription if you enjoyed the video. And hope to see you in the next one. Bye.